Good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming back again. Thank you for filling out the consent form. For this session, we're going to do a mindfulness technique. This mindfulness technique is the guided, grounded, and mindful breathing technique, and it's an intervention designed to help clients become more present, calm their nervous system, and reduce feelings of stress, anxiety, or emotional overwhelm. So, for this mindfulness session, before we get into that, I just want to know, how have you been doing? How's everything been going on in your life?
I've been doing okay. Um, Thank you for having me again. I think there are definitely a few situations that I can think of that I probably could have used this technique. So I guess it'd be a great time to share. So at my job now, I've been put on a new project that required 3 people,
Mm-hmm.
but now it is run by basically myself and half of another person. And the persons who were previously on the project have been on the project for at least 5 years. So they have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
historical knowledge and understanding of the project. And I've been on it for all of 3 months. And the expectation is for me to offload all the work from this person who's transitioning to a new job in a month. And so it's been a little bit overwhelming and at times frustrating because I feel like the information that should be voluntary is information that I have to fight for. I have to do digging to get. I have to ask people to understand, and it can be a little bit frustrating. But I try my best to put my best foot forward and not necessarily lash out, because sometimes my version of lashing out is just shutting down. So there's that. And then also, I think I mentioned in the last trial that in our last session that I had gotten into a new relationship, and it's been almost 2 years now, and he keeps mentioning marriage, and that's not something that I'm ready for. I feel like there are things that we both need to accomplish, and sometimes I struggle through conveying that without shutting down
Mm-hmm.
his feelings because they're his. But I also have to remind myself that he's not trying to like ignore mine. But I guess because it's triggering and I've been in a previously toxic relationship, that I find my initial reaction is to shut his thoughts down as opposed to listening, acknowledging, and I don't have to agree, but I can say, okay, that sounds good. I don't know if I'll be dismissive. So that's kind of where I'm at. Um, Between
Okay.
work and relationship, it's been a bit of a struggle juggling both.
Okay. Well, I feel that this mindfulness technique will be perfect. Today, I'm just going to guide you through a short exercise. Breathing so you can slow down, feel more present in the moment, and become more aware of your thoughts and feelings without any judgment from my end. So, it's okay to feel a little discomfort during this process at times, or to even get distracted, but there is no right or wrong way to participate in this technique. So, for now, I would just like you to sit back, sit comfortably. Right now, you're sitting on a chair. Put your feet on the floor and just be aware of how you're feeling, how uh, the process in your relationship and at work, how those made you feel, and then just take a moment to ground yourself, to breathe. Breathe through your nose, hold it gently, and then slowly exhale through your mouth and allow your body to relax. Do that a couple more times. So again, take a slow breath in through your nose, hold it gently, and then slowly exhale through your mouth. So while you're doing this, I want you to notice how your breathing feels physically in your body and how you feel, how your senses feel during this process. So continue to do that. Notice the feeling of the chair supporting your body. Notice the feeling of your feet touching the floor. Listen to the sounds around you. What do you notice in this moment? You don't have to answer right now. Right now, I just need you to focus on your breathing and to relax your body. Keep breathing. Relax. Feel your senses. Feel your body. Relaxing. How do you feel?
A lot more calm.
Okay. How did you feel during the process? What emotions did it bring about? How did you feel physically and mentally during this process?
I think the feelings that I acknowledged in this process is somewhat overwhelmed, but aware that I can do it. The desire for a break, but the knowledge that I can't necessarily take them right now.
Okay, let's pause right there. The acknowledgement for a break, but you can't take one right now. Why is that?
So, for the most part, my new concept of a break entails either a weekend free from my kid or an hour or two after he goes to bed. And sometimes that's not enough to decompress from the day. I really feel like much of a break. Taking time to myself would be more like a weekend away from my current environment. A drive somewhere, stay at Airbnb and near a beach or some type of resort and just sit and do nothing, because I'm used to having to do everything. And so that's why I say I need a break, but I can't take one right now because with the situation that I'm presented with, I have to choose to move even if I want to be still. So my stillness comes in short bursts, not the length that I'd like it to be, but I think it does help to take those short bursts. Like a few days ago, I took a half day in the morning from work and I did my nails and my toes. That was nice. And I'm taking time to myself to talk to my feelings. So this is my self-care. And I'd like to get back into walking. Some mornings when it's not too hot, I walk with a weighted vest. So those are intentional ways that I make time for myself. I think I just need a little bit more. Especially since life right now is very heavy. It would be nice to take a week.
A longer break.
Yeah, away from everything.
As opposed to smaller.
Yeah. But I'm realistic with what I have currently going on, and so I know what I can and can't do at the moment. And is that sometimes a little annoying? Yeah, but I'm sure we all feel that way. I think it's very normal, especially in this day and age.
But I think it's also good that you're aware of what you can do that constitutes as a break for you, that makes you feel less overwhelmed with what's happening in your daily life, and you're aware that you do need a longer break. But in the interim, um, this mindfulness technique can help you to calm down, stay in the present, while you focus on your breathing and how you're feeling in the present without being overwhelmed by the fact that maybe you can't take the long week break that you want to. But in that moment, you're able to be optimistic about your situation and how you're feeling at the moment. So during this exercise, what did you notice?
I think the thing I didn't pay attention to is, or I don't pay attention to, is how I dilute the senses of like my body. So, for instance, if I'm doing something, the last thing I'm thinking about is how my feet feel on the ground, um, or how my breathing feels. And even when I was breathing, I can kind of like hear my heartbeat in my ears. I think those are senses that I kind of either dilute or disassociate from, because I'm not thinking about my feelings, I'm thinking about completing the task. And sometimes that comes at the expense of ignoring how I'm feeling, or just coping, but just not in a healthy way.
Right.
So I think during that time I was able to acknowledge like what my body is actually doing, like the discomfort, like the chair is digging into my legs. But if I was working on a report for work, I think I would have ignored that. The tension in my lower back because of how maybe I sit a little bit curved throughout the day. I feel that now because I'm in, like, I guess, quiet, and my mind is not running at 100 miles per minute thinking about the next task to do. So I'm a little bit more aware of the way my body is feeling. So I think that's probably one thing that I noticed during that quiet time, or the method that you mentioned.
Okay. And how did your body feel before compared to after? Before you answer this question, I would just like to acknowledge that I am very proud of you for being aware of how your body feels, how it felt during the process, really putting 100% into this process, and just to be mindful that even outside of the session, that you can use this at any time that you feel overwhelmed, at any time you need to ground yourself. This mindfulness technique can be used. So now with the question, how did your body feel before compared to after?
I think coming into this process, I was a lot more tense. Like I said before, I wasn't aware of the small things, like how the chair was digging into my legs, or the sensation of my feet touching the ground. Even now, I'm rubbing my feet together, and it's something I do idly without acknowledging the sensation of it. But now that I'm thinking about not just focusing on the task, but how I'm feeling whilst doing the task, I can feel the sensation. So I think it just made me more acutely aware of how my body is feeling, or how something makes me feel. And giving me the moment to acknowledge that feeling kind of gives me a moment to process better, which I think would be ideal, so I don't crash out, zone out, disassociate, or simply close my laptop and say I'm not dealing with it. So I think the method will be very useful if I can remember it when I'm angry or overwhelmed in the future.
Okay, that's fair. Was there any part of the exercise that felt especially helpful or difficult for you?
No, it's not a difficult exercise. I think the difficulty will be reminding yourself to do it
Right.
when the time comes. Oftentimes, emotions feel all-consuming, and so in that moment, if you are not used to pausing, and you're used to avoiding, or you're used to being angry or lashing out, then your first instinct is to follow the rhythm that you have set for yourself. So I think this will be a work in progress. I'll have to tell myself probably out loud, take a break, walk away, breathe. Like I might have to actually talk to myself out loud, forcefully say it, write it on a sticky note, set a reminder on my phone. Did you breathe today? Like something to kind of like
Mhm.
clue me into how I can utilize that method in my day to day. I think that would be
Okay.
helpful.
And I think that's great that you already have solutions for what to do to remind yourself. Again, thank you so much for coming in for this session. I hope that this mindfulness technique is able to help you improve in this session as well as outside in your daily life. And until we meet next time, please have a nice night.
Thank you.